There are several types of escrow companies in California. I will tell you which is the best and which is the worst, and why to never use the worst type of escrow company. I'm shocked how little attention real estate agents give to the vetting of title and escrow companies. Agents should be acutely aware of the implication of which escrow company their client is using. Let me ask you, do you know how many different types of real estate escrow companies there are in California? The answer is 3. Did you know this? The reason that there are 3 types of escrow companies is that there are 3 different licensing authorities, and the structure of the escrow company depends on how they are licensed. So why should you or your client care? You should care very much because the safety and security and even cost are directly related to how the escrow company is structured and licensed. Let me explain. I will start with a primer about escrow in California. In most of the country and in Northern California, escrow is a function of the title company. A title company will have the escrow division under the same roof. This is simple enough, right? Well, Southern California is very different. When a transaction starts, instead of using the escrow division at the title company, the parties use a separate, standalone escrow company. I don't know when this began or why. I've theorized once upon a time, someone decided to open an escrow company that had a super concierge level service and then convinced agents to elect to use a separate escrow instead of the title company's escrow division. Now, this is just a theory. Either way, the history doesn't matter. It was a bad idea when it began, and it's a bad idea now. Here's a fun fact. Much of the escrow process still must go through the title company, even when escrow is done by a separate company. So you have created another link in the chain and one more step that can go wrong. Also, since the buyer and seller are substituting the title company's escrow for their fancy standalone escrow, the title company charges the parties a sub-escrow fee. This is a small fee that the parties pay title for making a special arrangement. Anyway, here are the 3 types of escrows. There is the title company escrow, which is licensed by the California Department of Insurance. There is the standalone independent escrow, licensed by the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. Then there is the worst of all 3, a non-independent, broker-controlled escrow licensed by the California Department of Real Estate. Let me tell you right now, as a former escrow company owner, the title company is the best type of escrow. These companies go through rigorous financial scrutiny by the California Department of Insurance and thus are very well capitalized. This means that if there's fraud or a mistake on your transaction, which is not rare, you are far more likely to be protected and recompensated. Also, it's more efficient. Why do I want my title company working with another outside company, like an independent escrow, if it's not needed? It totally opens up more opportunities for problems and delays. And finally, there is no sub-escrow fee. A distant second to the title company escrow is the independent escrow. In defense of independent escrow, they must answer to the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, so there is some oversight. They are audited and must be bonded. In addition, they must be members of the escrow agent's Fidelity Corporation, which offers consumer protection. So, some protections are better than none. However, that doesn't change the fact that they can still be small outfits. So, if there is wire fraud, you may not get a penny of recompensation. Something big goes wrong, the company could be finished. And again, they're outsiders sending wires to title and waiting on title to record with the county. So why accept decent when you can have the best? That is why I prefer the title company escrow. But in an emergency, could accept an independent escrow. The very bottom tier, the hot dog cart of the settlement industry, are non-independent escrows. These are broker-controlled, hence the non-independent text they must disclose in their title. This means the broker from one side of the transaction controls the escrow, which doesn't strike me as a neutral third party. How about you? I have also seen a non-independent broker do an escrow even though they are not a party to the transaction, which is illegal. So that happens. But even when they are a party to the transaction, it's still terrible. Since all you need is a real estate broker license to open a non-independent escrow, the Department of Real Estate oversees them. There is virtually zero oversight. Anyone with a real estate broker license can manage a trust account with millions of dollars of people's life savings and home equity swirling around. The proposition is absolutely terrifying. The opportunity for theft or fraud is overwhelming. If any money goes missing, then say goodbye forever. A non-independent broker escrow should never be used and, in my opinion, should be illegal. In the meantime, they're not, so be very careful to avoid them. On a final note, since I have brought up wire fraud, I should give a tip on how to avoid it. A buyer should always call escrow with a phone number they find outside of wire instructions. Call the escrow office and verify the wire instructions information. Never call the phone number on wire instructions. If they are fraudulent instructions, then you are calling a fraudster's phone number. For a seller, they should call escrow and tell them that only notarized wire instructions for seller proceeds should be accepted and demand escrow call to verify the information once received. I hope you found this helpful.